Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. How are you doing? It's been really quite a long while. I had a little bit of a hospital stay, and so I'm on the mend. So that put me off my normal track of activities for a little while. I'm Michelle, and I'm reading from Jim Stevens' book, 101 Proofs for the Absolute Existence of God. I always throw in the existence because that's what the title is saying. 101 proofs, 101 proofs for the existence of God. It was written by Jim Stevens, who you will get a chance to meet and even ask him some questions and things. We're going to do that near the end of the reading of his book. Right now, we are on proof number 98. 98. Okay. Acacia trees and ants. Acacia, that's a Portuguese pronunciation. Gardening is thought of as a skill that requires pretty advanced intelligence. Humans, in the whole history of evolution, did not start to garden until about 12,000 BC, before Christ. So it took humans a long time to figure it out. This proof for God, Jim says, is about the symbiotic relationship between certain trees and certain types of ants. In particular, I want to talk about the Central and South American bullhorn acacia tree and the pseudonymerex ant. Pseudo mermex ant, which is a genius of stinging wasp-like ants. Ugh. But there are other similar relationships. At least 100 other species of plants and ants exhibit this type of relationship. Let's read about it. Many species of acacia trees that are deficient in chemical defenses have developed a mutualistic relationship with stinging ants in which protection is exchanged for nutrients and a home. Acacia trees and their symbiotic partner can be found all over the world in temperate, desert, and tropical regions, especially since some species of acacia trees are highly invasive. They reach sexual maturity typically 3 years after germination, and the adult trees can be used for industrial or decorative purposes. During development, the acacia trees form symbiotic relationships with ants to promote healthy growth for both the ant and the tree. Not only are the trees vigorously protected, but they also provide ants and their larvae a ready home and available nutrients. Note how the author of the above quote talks about the plant and ants as if they are intelligently discussing with each other how they are going to form a mutually beneficial partnership, right? How come we humans can't form a relationship with a plant if an ant can do it? Or how come we can't form a nice relationship with a bunch of ants if a plant can do it? As I explained below, what amazing things scientists have discovered about this relationship. You will see that the theory of evolution has no plausible explanation for its existence. Even if one such implausible relationship could have evolved, how could 100 totally distinct and unique types of plant to ant relationships evolve without any connection to each other? An important point to make in the beginning is that the bullhorn acacia tree cannot survive. Can you imagine? Cannot survive without the help of the ants. That's crazy. In experiments where the ants were taken off the tree died within 2 to 15 months. That's fast. That's unbelievable. In studying this amazing relationship, researchers removed the ants from some of these trees. Within 2 to 15 months, the trees were dead that had the ants removed from them. Without the ants' care, animals eat off all the leaves and surrounding plants overrun it. Awful. So without help from the ants, there could not be any bullhorn acacia trees. So how could the trees ever have evolved without the ants already there to take care of them? But how did the ants learn how to take care of these particular trees before the trees existed? Gardening the trees would have to have evolved too. It would take a long process of learning for the ants, if ants can even learn like that. Taking care of the acacia tree is very, very complicated, as we shall see. If you have 2 minutes, check out this National Geographic video about a similar acacia tree and its ants. I think you will be amazed. And then he gives the website for where you can find it. Yeah. In this symbiotic relationship, let's look first at what the acacia tree does for the ants. There is a lot of the trademark of intelligence here. And if you don't accept that there is a God, then you have to think it is the tree that has intelligence, or else it is just some accidental process. The mutualistic relationship is established when a newly mated queen is attracted to a tree by its odor and starts nesting inside the large hollow acacia thorns. She lays 15 to 20 eggs to produce the first generation of workers. As the colony grows, more thorns become inhabited, and when the colony reaches around 400 individuals, the ants start to protect the plant. Scientists know that the queen ant can smell an acacia tree. Think of all the evolution that would have had to go into an ant being able to smell, let alone being able to recognize a particular tree as the one that would provide a good place to start a nest. The acacia tree provides a wonderful place for ants to build their nests. The ants can drill a hole into the horns of the plant that are hollow inside, and this makes a perfect place for a nest. Since the horns are fairly small, the ants will make nests in the horns all over the tree. Makes sense. The acacia tree actually has special glands on their stems which secrete a carbohydrate-rich sweet nectar that is very nutritious for the ants. If that gland evolved through a slow and gradual process, and the nectar that is secreted then also has to evolve by a slow and gradual process, don't you think the ants would find a different source of nutrition instead of waiting around? Evolutionists have amazing imaginations, but I'd like to see them point out any actual plant that has ever evolved something like this on its own in the thousands of years that humans have been watching plants. It's never been seen, but they still believe in evolution. The acacia tree also produces what are called Beltian bodies on the tips of its leaflets. These Beltian bodies are made of a protein lipid, which doesn't seem to have any other use or value except for the ants to feed their larvae. The Beltian bodies seem to be perfect for that single purpose. Look at a picture on the internet of Beltian bodies, and that's spelled Beltian. Beltian. Beltian bodies. And imagine the evolution that had to take place for the tree to produce such a fruit. Trees live a long time. They would have to produce seeds, which grow up and then produce new seeds. How many generations would it take in a slow and gradual process of tree after tree until the Beltian bodies were perfect? Remember that the Beltian bodies give no benefit at all to the tree except to attract the ants by providing the perfect nutrients for their larvae, for their babies. Remember that without the ants, the trees mostly die. So getting many generations of trees to evolve implies that the ants were already there. That's already too incredible for evolution. But now let's take a look at what the ants do for the tree. If a plant-eating animal or insect comes along that will harm the acacia tree, the ants release a pheromone, which is a nasty odor, and it sounds the alarm. All of them rush out to attack. They will bite and sting any intruder very severely, usually driving them away. However, the ants are uniquely selective. If a praying mantis or a spider comes along, which actually can benefit the acacia by eating insect pests, the ants leave them alone. Oh, now how could they have ever evolved that type of selectivity? Ants also will not bother the bees that pollinate the trees. Another thing that the ants do for the tree is keep away vines and other plants. The ants will chew through any vines that come on their tree or its leaves, thus getting rid of any threat. The ants seem to even know that the tree needs sunlight and will remove leaves of other trees that are obstructing the sunlight. According to Daniel Jansen, livestock can apparently smell the pheromone and avoid these acacias day and night. Getting stung in the mouth and tongue is an effective deterrent to browsing on the tender foliage, in addition to protecting V. conigera, or acacia, from leaf-cutting ants and other unwanted herbivores. The ants also clear away invasive seedlings around the base of the tree that might overgrow it and block out vital sunlight. And here's a very amazing fact that we discovered recently. The ants actually help prevent bacteria problems on the leaf surfaces. Researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Chemical Ecology in Jena, Germany, have found that it is likely something on the legs of the ants that yields the antibacterial benefit. Evolutionists are going to have a problem explaining how something like that evolved. Okay. Analysis of the surfaces of the leaves revealed that the number of plant pathogens as well as of necrotic plant tissues increased considerably when mutualistic Pseudomyrmex ferruginous ants were absent. These plants also showed strong immune responses in the form of an increased concentration of salicylic acid, a plant hormone, which regulates defense against pathogens. Detailed analysis of the bacterial composition on the surfaces of the leaves suggested that the presence of mutualistic ants changed the bacterial populations and reduced harmful pathogens. Although far less pronounced, this effect could also be observed in parasitic ants. How microbial protection is transferred from ants to plant is still unclear. Is that convincing enough that this relationship was designed and not evolved? Let Jim know. How about one more point? Researchers have discovered that the tree secretes some repellent, probably from its pollen, that keeps the ants away temporarily during pollination. This maximizes the reproduction of the seeds of the tree because the ants don't run over them and disturb their growth. But the secretion eventually wears off about the time that the fertilization has already taken place. So now the ants will come around again and they will perform their duties, their housekeeping duties of protecting the leaves and the tree. No human being could design something with this chemical and biological sophistication. So there must be God. That is very true. Thank you so much, Jim, for that. Totally amazing, you guys. Okay, that was chapter 98, Acacia, Trees, and Ants. Okay, everyone have a good Sunday. See you another time. Bye.